Hello and welcome to the All Rookie Podcast. Today is April 26th, 2023, and I'm your host, William Harris, aka William is Bill. Great to be back with you today. We're going to cover the most polarizing prospect probably in this NBA draft. I'm going to give it to him. Emoni Bates. You know the name. You've heard that name. Some of you may be like, why have I heard that name? But that is because he's been famous pretty much since the 11th grade. But Emoni Bates, the 6'9 guard/forward, 190 pounds from Eastern Michigan, averaged 19.6 boards, 1.4 assists, 0.6 steals, and zero point 0.5 blocks per game in his sophomore season at Eastern Michigan. He shot 33% from three, 47% from the field, and let's get straight to it like there's nothing to it. If you hadn't heard, he just announced he is entering the NBA draft and is most definitely one of the most polarizing prospects. Like I said, maybe not just in this draft, but in the last 10 years. He pretty much has been famous since he was an 11th grader. He's had viral videos, etc. I mean, when you're 6'9", I mean, he was probably 6'6" in 11th grade, dominating. That's what's going to happen nowadays. You know, everybody goes viral now. But he basically could have went to any college in America, as he was the #1 ranked recruit going into the 2022 season. That's right, #1. So, but originally he committed to Michigan State, but then he changed his mind, decommitted, and went to Memphis to play under Coach Penny Hardaway. I personally probably would have did the same thing. Love Penny Hardaway. For Emoni Bates, probably should have stuck with Coach Izzo. His first year in college was rough. He played out of position, had to play point guard for a lot of the time. He had multiple injuries during his first freshman season to his finger, to his back, which caused him to miss 15 games. And in that freshman season, he only averaged 10 points and 3 boards per game. And that was a big letdown to all the scouts and the NBA. They were real down on him after that season. So then he transferred to Eastern Michigan and balled out. So all is well, right? He made the All-MAC team, scored 43 points in one game where he just completely went off, including hitting 29 straight points. He has elite potential, and he's just super athletic and a really good shooter. He loves to splash threes in the face of his defenders. So what could go wrong when you have a situation like this? Well, right before, in the beginning of this season with Eastern Michigan, he was arrested on gun charges. That's not great. It was a felony gun charge as well. I think he had a gun with him and they got pulled over, whatever. That eventually got dropped and he pleaded to a misdemeanor. So, you know, that scared off pretty much everyone. But, you know, pled to a misdemeanor. He didn't shoot anyone. He didn't do anything too bad. He just had a gun. And then he continued to ball out with his season. Like I said, that 43-point game, he showed that he loves to splash threes in the face of his defender. Like, not just shoot threes, but like blackout in his face of his defender. He has a great handle, especially for a 6'9" young man. Guard, forward, he's just a player, whatever you want to say. And, you know, he kind of has an and one mixtape type of handle. You can tell he grew up playing street ball and trying to idolize some of his favorite players. But he loves to shoot difficult fadeaways. I mean, hell, difficult shots in general, which is impressive when it goes in, but a bad shot when it doesn't. He loves to put on a show. He plays like a star. Like, people come to the game. If you come to an Emoni Bates game, you're gonna be entertained. I'll give you that right there. He plays like a star. In my opinion, you kind of have to ignore his 3-point percentage because even though it's solid to average at 33%, most of his shots are just plain ridiculous. Like, he's trying to be like Kobe Bryant out there and just taking heaves basically and heat checks left and right, because I don't think he was really held accountable at Eastern Michigan. He kind of could do whatever he wanted. He definitely will not be shooting like that in the NBA. The NBA is not Eastern Michigan, I'll tell you that. So I expect his percentages to actually increase in the NBA. I think he was used wrong in his freshman year at Memphis and his sophomore year at Eastern Michigan. If he's used like Brandon Ingram was used at Duke, if like Kevin Durant was used at Texas, and cut out all those wasted dribbles and James Harden like step backs, I think he can have a similar career path to those guys. Brandon Ingram, same height, same weight, almost the same stats all around. He averaged 17 and 7 with 2 assists, 1 steal, 1.4 blocks. The only difference is he shot 41% from 3, which I think Emoni Bates could do if he was shooting the type of threes Brandon Ingram was shooting. Wide open, spot up threes, not crossover, behind the back, juking, doing all this fancy stuff, then shooting the three, step back, all that. So, Brandon Ingram went to a better school, better conference. So he played against better talent, so that's a negative against Emoni Bates. He played in a weak conference, weak school. But yeah, like I said, Brandon Ingram was a better shooter percentage-wise, but those bad shots, I think, will determine a lot. And, Brandon Ingram was coached by Coach K. If Emoni Bates had a Coach K or Tom Izzo, like he would have had if he stayed at at the University of Michigan State, he would be right there with those guys, in my opinion, like considered top 10 for sure, maybe top 5 in this draft. And, he is basically street ball version of Brandon Ingram right now. And I think that is some clay that I would want to have on my team. And I can mold it the way that I want to because he has the foundation for greatness. KD was 6'10" and skinny back then too, and didn't have to press too hard at Texas. He had a system. He had a point guard to give him the ball in the spots he needed it. When Emoni gets the ball, he has to do everything at Eastern Michigan. He's the point. He's the 2. He's the 3. He's the 4. All that. So when Emoni gets a coach, a point guard, a system, look out. I'm really high on this guy. If you want to look at the concerns, which everyone seems to be looking at and not focusing on the good, the concerns are transferring after one down year. He could have stayed at Memphis and made it work. He transferred. A lot of people wonder, is he a player that can be coached? And does he need to do his own thing? I remember Ben Simmons. He kind of was a guy that's like everything was given to him. You couldn't really tell him nothing. Will he be like that? We don't know yet. I don't know him personally. During the pre-draft situation, there are going to be a lot of interviews, workouts. That's going to be key for Emoni Bates to see his attitude, how he's going to, react to coaching and test and all that type of stuff. So as far as his game, as far as concerns, experts will say he doesn't make his team better. Hence, Eastern Michigan only went 8-23 for the season. That's horrible. Yes, he is at Eastern Michigan. He was the best player on the team by far. The team was horrible. I don't hold that too much against him, but that is not a great sign. But he had low assist numbers and kind of a get mine type of mentality. Experts will say his shooting percentage is a red flag. But in my opinion, like I said earlier, he just needs to take better shots. So he also is very skinny. He needs to gain some weight. But like I said, he's similar to Brandon Ingram's size. So, he doesn't need to gain too much weight. As far as his alleged me first type of game or losing brand of basketball they say he plays, I think that can be corrected. He has to be humbled since, in my opinion, he has to be humbled. Since, being such a hot commodity early on in life, like I said, he's been famous since a mid-teenager. And now, coming into this draft class, ESPN has him ranked 56 currently. That is ridiculous. I think he will come into the league with his head down, ready to prove a lot of doubters wrong. And if he goes to the right team, like I said, right coach, he allows them to coach him, doesn't come in with a superstar attitude, I think he can be an all-star type of player. This is a 6'9" guard. This is not a 6'9" guy that can do some things like a guard. He's a guard. You don't really see that often other than KD, Brandon Ingram, So I think if you don't know Emoni Bates, if you hadn't heard of the viral name before today, this is why he's such a hot name. People are talking about him so much, but you don't see him in the first round. They're scared of the me first attitude, scared of the gun charges, scared of the injuries, scared of the bad first season. I am not. 56, that's someone should be fired at ESPN. He's definitely a top 20 prospect, unless he's just an idiot. I hate to say that, but You have to not want to play basketball for him to not be a top 20 player in this draft. It's debatable that he's a top 10 player in this draft. I'm still trying to figure it out myself because it was possible he was going back to college. But when you watch his tape, you see a top 10 prospect. So I'm hearing late first, I'm hearing early second. ESPN has him barely being drafted. Ignore all that. Listen to me. Emoni Bates is a name you need to remember, a name you need to know. He's been a baller his whole life, except for that 1 year at Memphis where he was injured. He is going to translate to the NBA. It's just as long as he has that attitude. If you see him with a terrible attitude doing stuff on Instagram or social media that makes him look like me first still, or got the big head still, then be worried. But if not, Emoni Bates, remember the name. I'm impressed. He's for sure in my top 20. If he's in nobody else's, he's in mine. Subscribe to the All Rookie Podcast. Thank you all so much for listening, supporting the pod. Your comments give me life. And I'm going to keep hitting y'all with pods left and right. Thanks for listening. Until next time, I'm out of here. Peace.